Let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and our good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, I have not received any message from the President. And so we will move to item 3, formal communication by the Speaker. Before I read a formal communication, honorable members, there is no parliament that I know when the Speaker is talking, members are also talking. Speakers are heard in silence for good reason. And as I read this formal statement, you come to understand why I have said what I have said. The parliaments I have traveled, witnessed, read, and at least I think I know a lot that you may not have gone through. Appreciation of the temperature of the country. Neither am I sure you know the arduous nature of the responsibility that have been placed on your shoulders. You are all mature adults. You are saying, hey, Parliament is not a place for joking. It's a place for business, serious national business. The Parliament we are in has never been in Ghana, even Gold Coast. This is a different type of Parliament. We might be prepared to change, to accept the decision of the people and work together. You make me sick. Will you shut up? You rule out of order in the House. Honorable members, events emanating from yesterday's sitting of the House have occasioned the need to make this statement and provide clarity and some perspective on some of the issues raised on the floor yesterday. Honorable member, will you resume your seat? The one standing behind leadership, please get out. As you may recall, the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Ajuma Enyam Essiem constituency, Honorable Kesiel Atu Forsen Ban, ranking member of the Committee on Finance, moved a motion, which motion was for the House to constitute a bipartisan committee to look into the activities of the government with respect to COVID-19 expenditure. I must note that this motion was submitted to me, and I admitted same within the context of Order 79.4 of the Standing Orders of the House. Order 79.4 of the Standing Orders of the House. When the Honorable Atu Forsen was on his feet in an attempt to table the motion, the Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Alexander Kwamina Afijo-Makin, rose to make a preliminary objection to the tabling of the motion. It was at this juncture that I asked him to suspend his objection, wait for the motion to be tabled, and then he may proceed to submit his objection. Indeed, as is apparent on the face of the record of proceedings, he sought clarification on the extent of my ruling. The clarification I provided was that, in my view, it was improper to object to a motion that had not even been tabled in the first place. To that extent, he could only object to the motion after it had been tabled and before it had been seconded by another member. Honorable members, it is my considered view that when the notice of a motion requirements under Order 78 and 79 have been complied with, same must be present on the face of the order paper after the Speaker has made a determination of the admissibility of the motion. For the avoidance of doubt, a member intending to file a motion which is not of an urgent nature and is not subject to the exceptions under Order 78, the member must comply with the requirements of Order 79. Out of the abundance of caution, I read Order 79. It says, 79.1, all notices shall be given by being handed in at the table when the House is sitting, or by being transmitted to the office of the clerk so as to be receivable within the hours prescribed for the purpose. 2, all notices shall be signed by the member proposing the motion or amendment, unquote. When a notice is received by the clerk later than 48 hours before the commencement or the end of a meeting, the clerk shall record the date and hour of his receipt and notify the member. 4, every notice shall be submitted to Mr. Speaker, who shall direct that it be printed in its original terms or with such amendments as he shall direct, or that it be returned to the member submitting it as being inadmissible, unquote. These are the standing orders. The effect of this provision is that Mr. Speaker is the determinant of the admissibility of motion, just as is the case with the admissibility of questions to ministers under our orders. Having admitted the motion may now be transmitted to the order paper to form part of the deliberation of the House for the scheduled date. And this is done through the Business Committee, chaired by the Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business. The members, the decision of the Speaker may be challenged with respect to the admissibility of a motion. Therein lies the bane of contention that undergirds this House in yesterday's proceedings. To provide some guidance on the appropriate procedure and why I ruled that the Deputy Majority Leader raises his objection after tabling of the motion and before seconding, I make reference to our standing orders. Order 81 is to the effect that no motion shall be debated and entered into the proceedings unless the motion has been seconded. In this vein, a motion tabled and not seconded will be struck out, and it will not enter the votes and proceedings of the House. Again, Order 82 highlights the fact that once a motion is tabled and seconded, a member may only withdraw the motion with the leave of the House. The careful greening of the provisions as referred to supra will provide a clear perspective on the effect of seconding motions. Once a motion is tabled and seconded, it ought to be debated by the House, and the motion may not be withdrawn except with the leave of the House. Similarly, if an objection is to be leveled against a motion so admitted by Mr. Speaker, it will be procedurally deficient to allow such an objection to be raised after the motion has been seconded. The purpose of the objection to the motion is to prevent the House from discussing or considering the motion. The objection goes to the root of the matter being tabled, either because it is considered irrelevant, contentious, or unprofitable, or that for any reason is thought to be advisable to debate, is not thought to be advisable to debate the matter. And so, when such an objection is raised and sustained, the motion is not captured by the votes and proceedings. When it is seconded, it must proceed to be debated, and it will be captured by the votes and proceedings. That is what the standing orders say. And that is why it's seconded. The House has a duty to debate the motion and have it entered in the votes and proceedings of the House, or have it withdrawn with the leave of the House, as the case may be. With this understanding, I ruled that it would not be correct to consider an objection to the motion at the point the motion is being moved or tabled, because before the motion has been tabled, nothing is before the House. It would therefore also be inappropriate to consider an objection to a motion at that point. That was the spirit of my ruling, wherein I asked the Deputy Majority Leader to suspend his objection and raise it after the motion has been tabled I was very clear on this. When I was handing over to the first deputy speaker, that was the message you saw me transmitting to him. That I have ruled that the deputy majority leader can raise his objection to a motion after it's moved, but not seconded. Because some of you were talking to each other, you did not hear the ruling. And yesterday, different thing was being said. In spite of the fact that the deputy majority leader insisted that this was my ruling. It came, therefore, to me as a surprise when I learned that the members of the minority appeared to suggest to the deputy speaker, who was in the chair at the time, that I indicated in my ruling that the objection be raised after it has been seconded. The records are there, the voice can be played. That was not my ruling. Honorable members, we must observe the rulings of Mr. Speaker and not attempt to vary them to our advantage as and when it appears convenient. In sum, on this issue, and for the purposes of future deliberations, objections to motions may be raised when a motion has been tabled and before it has been seconded. At that point, the Speaker shall make a determination as to whether or not to uphold the motion and make a ruling thereto. This is my ruling. Another issue that requires addressing is the decision of the first deputy speaker to upend my admission of the motion and rule that the motion should not have been admitted in the first place. Honorable members, it is interesting to note that this is the second time the first deputy speaker has taken the chair and has made a ruling which in fact was to overrule a position I had earlier on established before the House. In fact, the first deputy speaker was in my office. And what I'm telling you today, I told him before he left to the airport. The first deputy speaker has contended and on several occasions that he is not the speaker. I have also on several occasions alluded to various areas of parliamentary practice where when the speaker is in the chair, makes a ruling, another presiding officer may not overturn that ruling. My former statement on the matters arising from the budget and captured in paragraph 46 read as follows, and I quote, Honorable members, although outstanding orders are silent on this, many standing orders and rules from several sister parliaments provide persuasive rules which suggest that when deputy speakers or acting speakers are in the chair, whatever happens in the House is that officer's responsibility. And the speaker cannot be called upon to overrule it. Similarly, the reverse is also the case, that when a speaker is in the chair, whatever happens in the House is the speaker's responsibility, and the deputy speaker or acting speaker cannot be called upon to overrule it, unquote. That was what I read to the House that day. The penchant of the first deputy speaker to overrule my rulings is, to say the least, unconstitutional, illegal, and offensive. Be that as it may, I shall not be taking any steps to overrule the decision of the First Deputy Speaker to dismiss the motion as moved by the Honourable Ranking Member of the Finance Committee. The Deputy Speakers and I would deliberate on how to present a more coherent and uniform structure in respect of rulings so that the House is guided at all times during deliberations. Our standing orders provide the procedure for challenging the rulings of the chair, and those aggrieved by the rulings may take the necessary steps. The proposers of the private member's motion may thus be guided by the standing orders of the House to right the wrong. I hope this is understood. And I repeat, I hope this statement provides a much needed clarity on the matters of dispute that arose yesterday. And I hope we can forge ahead for the common good of the people who have entrusted us with leadership and a mandate to better their lives. The standing orders will guide those who brought the motion, and the proper thing will be done for the House to consider the motion. Please, it's not only you, members of Parliament, who discuss national matters with me. Your ministers, your presidents, traditional leaders, and the rest, we do them together. I can tell you that the country is not happy with our performance. We have to up our game. As the person of ultimate responsibility, I reiterate, I will do so with the powers and authority that has been conferred on me by the Constitution and the laws of this country. I mean what I say. I want to thank you all for your attention. Please be focused on what we are here to do. If you are not here and you haven't heard, ask. Don't just jump in, misquote people, and say anything. The responsibility for admission of motions is that of the Speaker and the Speaker alone. This is enough for today. I'll come back tomorrow. Honourable members, item 4, correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We start with the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 22nd February 2022, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9. Sorry, Honourable Dan Boche.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I did ask for permission to be absent yesterday. So I did not expect my name to be on page 8 as absent without permission. I just filled a form and I saw it signed.
Table office, kindly take note. Page 9. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Right Honorable. My name came without the doctor. I really cherish it. In fact, I wasn't even finding my name. I had to struggle. Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Stephen Amwa, your first point was that your name came without the doctor. And your second point was that your name, even you can't find it. Is that what you said?
The second one, Right Honorable, I said initially I wasn't finding it. So I had to struggle to find it.
But now you found it. Now you found it.
But without the doctor.
Now you found it.
Yes.
It's number what?
Without the doctor.
Number
53.
53. Under what item?
Page 2. Item 2. Thank you.
And you say the number is 153. 53. Table office, don't deprive him of his doctorate. Please.
Thank you, Speaker.
After Amwa Stephen, put in brackets, doctor. Yes.
Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, please.
Respectfully, I seek your guidance on the matter that the Honourable Dr. Stephen Amwa has raised. I have gone through the names here as provided in the vote of proceedings, and it appears to me that the practice is not to include titles. He's not the only one affected. For example, Mr. Speaker, if you look at item number 122, the Honourable Forsen Kesel Atuba, doctor is not there. I have also checked that of the Honourable Zaneto Ajiman Rawlings. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that we may have to decide on what should be done, so that because I see also, Mr. Speaker, that for item number 81, for Ayini Dominic Akrutenga, his has been provided. So it appears that some are provided, some are not. So if we can have some clarity on what should be the practice, so that we can have some consistency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, we are in Africa. There are even some parliaments where they don't even add honourable. They don't. But I don't know whether you've ever been to Nigeria. And you don't know, I don't know whether you appreciate the titles of our chiefs. It's not for nothing that all those things are added to your names. We treasure them. They are achievements that we treasure. Before, the British had only one name. So you hear King John. There is no C name. You know Queen Elizabeth, either the first or the second. Now, you people say Elizabeth. When I was born, they used to say Elizabeth. But today, now they also have same names. The fact that others don't mind whether the doctor is added or not, the professor is added or not, doesn't make it right. In Ghana, we treasure those titles, and I think he's right for reminding us that he's a PhD holder. But, Doctor, I have my eyes on you. And I expect a better rendition from you as a PhD holder. Honorable members, you are still honorable members when you leave this floor. And so wherever you are, you have to conduct yourselves honorably. It is not only our senior citizen, Mr. Kompini, who will no longer refer to us as honorable. Very soon, I myself will be referring to some of you not with the title honorable again. When you dishonor yourself, you are no longer honorable. Page 10. Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Page 10, where reference is made to the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader. For the record, I thought that he referenced Article 187 to raise his objection. So in the second line, he raised a preliminary objection citing Article 187. That is what he did yesterday. If you want for emphasis 5, so that the record will have it, Mr. Speaker. I'm saying so because, as you yourself have rightly advised, we will challenge the ruling of your first deputy, to which you have so eloquently addressed this morning. But we want the record to be succinctly captured that this was his objection. His objection was based on Article 187. He said so that tomorrow into the foreseeable future, we will know what guided the ruling for purpose of litigating on it as we intend to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minority Leader, I'm guided by Order 34-1. And it says, I quote, the minutes of the proceedings of Parliament, called votes and proceedings, shall be a record of the attendance of members at sitting, and all decisions of Parliament, and shall be kept by the clerk. The votes and proceedings shall be printed and shall be the journals of the House. That is what it says. Usually, the votes and proceedings try to capture usually the decisions. The official report will capture as much as possible a verbatim narration of what took place. And so what you refer to is in the official report, which will be part of what you use for your debate. Luckily, I have got it printed out for me. So even though I was not on the floor, all what you said is here. I think what has been captured is sufficient. We use that one during the debate. We don't need to go to the extent of always referring to the laws and the rest in the votes and proceedings. So I will not direct the table office to include what you just said. Page 11, I should start with Honorable first. Yes, Honorable Dr. Zenator Ajiman Rawlings.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I'm sorry, this is with regards to page 10, but I didn't catch your eye earlier.
Yes, please, sorry.
With regards to the same paragraph that the minority leader made reference to, on the third line, the word that's used here is premature, but the word that the deputy majority leader used was impropriety. That was the basis of his objection. He did not mention premature. So I just wanted your guidance on
was
whether...
impropriety.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. He did not use the word premature as the basis of his objection. Impropriety was the word that he used. And so I was seeking your guidance on whether that should be captured as opposed to the word premature. Thank you.
Yes, if he actually used impropriety, we cannot use premature. But let me listen to the leadership of the majority bench. Yes, please.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I think yesterday the deputy majority leader actually used the word premature, even in your presence when you guided. And I think he has been vindicated by you that he could only make such objection when after the motion has been moved. So he actually used the word premature.
Honorable Dr. Siviamwa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank you for your precautionary advice. However, I want clarity so that I will do as such, because I think the statement was quite
Honorable
clear.
Member, you are out of order. You may, for further and better particulars, see me in my office.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
At page 4 of 7 of the official report, the Deputy Majority Leader, Mr. Alexander Afenyo-Markin, says, Mr. Speaker, if you would be pleased, I shall now proceed with my preliminary objection to the propriety of the motion for you to rule on, unquote. That is what is captured in the official report. So it's actually propriety that he used, not impropriety. I see, is that the Minister for Interior?
Honourable Speaker.
Yes, please.
Honourable Speaker, I would humbly submit that at this juncture, once the official report you have has not been confirmed one way or the other, and that there is a statement that premature was used, I believe that there's something that needs to be done on that record to make it a record on which you can use to conclude. As now, you are privileged to have it, but when the official report comes out, I'm sure all of us will be given a chance to make an input. So I will caution that to use it now will actually be a premature use of the draft record. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
I simply referred to the records available to me. Is there like the votes and proceedings that we have, which we have just gone through. Yes, the official report will come for corrections and approval of the House. Definitely, when there are contentions, the voice recording is available, and that will be used. So I just refer to what they heard and recorded. And I take note of what you refer to as caution. The only thing is whether you have the authority to caution a speaker. That is a wrong word. And next time, it will be ruled as unparliamentary.
Can you guide me then the right way?
You questioning the speaker?
No, I'll ask for your guidance, because sometimes,
you can draw my attention.
Well, maybe amended so drawing your attention.
Yes, thank you so much.
You understand the change of venue between a court and a listening. So I say, draw your attention. Right honorable Speaker.
Yes. That is my classmate, so sometimes he takes liberty of our old days. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections to the correction of votes and proceedings, yes, we're at the last page. Yes. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, permit me to take you back to page 7, item 2, and members absent with permission.
Honorable member, approach the table office for those corrections.
I've been trying to...
Usually, when we go beyond a page, the normal practice is that you don't take us back. The early days were allowing members to learn, but we have now to enforce the rule. When you discover something later on, you just approach the table office and draw their attention. They will do it, but you don't take us back. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I seek your guidance in respect of the matter raised by the Honorable Senator Rollins. He was trying to draw the House attention to the fact that the word as captured in line 3 of the body of the motion, that is premature, was not actually premature as used by the Deputy Majority Leader, and that she had impropriety. Then you cross-checked and discovered that it was actually propriety, but no direction had been given to the table office to effect the amendment. And further, I know that the word premature actually came from you, the Speaker, when you described the time that he was moving the motion as premature ejaculation. And so the premature didn't come from him. And so I seek your guidance as to whether this will be amended before we proceed. I thank you.
Honorable member, I did that earlier on before the Minister for Interior drew my attention to the fact that this document I referred to has not yet been confirmed and approved by the House. But I had earlier on directed that the proper word used, and it's not only at one place, it's there throughout. The word that I see flowing through has been propriety. It's there. Even when my good friend, Honorable Samuel Atache, was also contributing, he referred to it. He said when the motion is moved and one has an objection to its propriety, it did not talk about admissibility. That was Honorable Atachia. So it runs through. But he said we should wait through when it comes, you go through it. And that's why I held on to that affirmation of my earlier direction. And so we'll go through it when we get there. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections to the votes and proceedings, the votes and proceedings of the 17th sitting held on Tuesday, 22nd February 2022 are adopted as a true record of proceedings. We have an official report of 9 February 2022. Any corrections? Yes, Honorable Okujatu.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, respectfully, at column 40, the last paragraph, I have been wrongly quoted. The figure I put out was 4.6 million, not billion. The 2021 arrears to the Student Loan Trust Fund is 4.6 million, not billion.
Paragraph 40.
Yes, please, Mr.
Am I
Speaker.
right?
Yes, please. Paragraph 40, the last paragraph.
4.6 billion.
Yes, 4.6 million.
Million.
Is that
not
correct?
Billion.
Not billion. Yes.
Okay. Table of this, can they take note?
And Mr. Speaker, at column 41, the first paragraph, the second line, it should read country for over a year, where many tertiary students in our country for over a year, not over years, over a year.
Again, table office, take note of that.
And Mr. Speaker, beneath that, Dr. Educhum, the 4.6 billion has been repeated. It should be million under Dr. Educhum, 4.6 million.
That is paragraph.
And Mr. Speaker, finally at column
That is paragraph what, Dr. Aduchu?
Oh, Mr. Speaker, sorry. That should be the fourth paragraph. Fourth paragraph at column 41.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Under Dr. Educhum.
Yes.
4.6 million.
Million, not billion.
Not billion.
Yes, continue.
Yes. And Mr. Speaker, finally at column 42, the first paragraph, they are not receiving their student loans. Student, not students. So they shouldn't be plural. The S should be deleted. Student loans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is that under Dr. Adichu?
Please, Mr. Speaker, just above that, the first paragraph, where many students are complaining that they are not receiving their student loans.
Oh, yes. 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 There is a repetition of that under Dr. Adichu, but that one is correct. So please, table office, take note of that. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections to the official report of 9 February 2022, the official report of that day is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. We now move to item 5, which deals with questions. And the first question stands in the name of the Honorable Member for South Tong, Honorable Kobina Mensah Oyomi, and it is to the Minister of Interior, and so The minister is rightfully taking his seat. Honorable member, you may ask your question now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, rise for the interior. What is being done to restore the Sugakope, which serves South Tong District, so the fire service to respond quickly to emergencies?
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. If I may crave your diligence to draw your attention to an addendum. I think they are also urgent questions for my attention, but I'll respect the order that you have chosen, and I would answer these just to inform you that there are 3 urgent questions on the addendum that should be attended. But, Right Honorable Speaker, the fire tender which was allocated to the Sokokope fire station to serve the good people of South Tong and was diagnosed to be faulty has been worked on and commissioned since 18th January 2022. As a matter of fact, at 11:23 a.m. today, I checked. It was confirmed that it is in good working order. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Any supplementary question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Yes, there is. Mr. Speaker, the first service tender that was supposed to be worked on, I can tell
Honorable
the Minister.
Member. Honorable Member.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Was it worked on or supposed to be worked on?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, it is not, in fact, a bicycle rider can run the tender. That is to tell you that it is not effective, it's not working as I speak to you, not the way it's expected. So I want to ask, who undertook the repair works on the car? Which fitting or engineering entity or company worked on this particular vehicle?
So are you talking about alleged to have been worked on?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, this...
You are challenging...
Yes.
That...
It's not as robust to undertake what is expected of it.
Let's get that clear.
My check...
Please. The fact that a vehicle has been worked on and is not as robust as before, that is the repairs you are complaining about. Yeah. And you say that a bicycle rider can even go faster than the tender,
yes.
The fire tender.
I'm telling you, Mr. Speaker.
Really?
It's laughable, but it's serious.
Really?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, because I've checked a while ago before even answering this question. And so probably you may have to carry us on Sunday again.
Minister.
And I'm telling you,
Yes, it's okay. Let the minister respond. We'll go there and let them compete.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The question was duly referred to the fire service and this response given, and this morning at 11:23, I asked no less than person than the chief fire officer. He told me he's sure. I said no. He called and came back with the answer. Right Honorable Speaker, I would suggest that the Honorable MP should file the appropriate question. If it's about speed, let me file, and then I would get, no, I am prepared to satisfy honorable members of this House when they ask questions, and also to be sure that the agencies that I supervise do give me the right answers. But you were asking of a faulty fire tender. The position now is that it is repaired, and is functioning. If you want specific further information, I'll be glad that you file and I address it specifically, because what we are not talking about bicycle being faster than a fire tender, I'm not in a position to address that now. Thank you.
Any further supplementary?
Mr. Speaker, can the minister tell us normally which engineering entity undertakes the repair works? And in this particular case, which entity actually took the repair works? Because some of us even contributed in fixing it. So I just want to know from you.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am not privy to the information on which specific engineers work on specific fire tenders at any point in time, except to say that I hold the leadership of fire service responsible to ensure the equipments are functional. They have competence to engage whoever they do. I'm not part of their procurement, it's part of their system. I do not have that specific information. Mr. Right Honorable.
Yes.
My last, Mr. Speaker, can the minister tell us whether they have a maintenance regime for these tenders that probably can be shared with us?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. We have engineers and we have workshops within fire service, and my understanding, and I've seen them work. Beyond that, I believe they go outside to get experts who might help them if it's beyond their competence. But yes, we have workshops within fire service who do some repairs. Thank you.
Honorable members, sorry, this is constituency specific. So we'll go to the next question. The question stands in the name of the Honorable Member for K2 South, Honorable Ms. Abla Jefa Gomachi. Please, Honorable Member, you may ask your question now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to ask the Minister for Interior what has necessitated the erection of the more than 14 police and immigration posts and barriers on the Accra to Aflao Road.
Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, to the best of my knowledge and information, the Accra to Aflao International Route has 4 police barriers at the following locations: Sugakope barrier under the Sugakope Divisional Police Command, Hippo barrier under Akachi District Police Command, Anwo Fianyeba barrier under the Keta Divisional Police Command, and the Toko barrier under the Ketu Divisional Police Command. There is also an approved police barrier at Chupoli, near Prampram, operated by the Tema Regional Headquarters and the Prampram Divisional Police Command. Right Honorable Speaker, as you may be aware, the country's international borders were closed on 21st March 2020 as part of government's measures to prevent the spread and importation of COVID-19 into Ghana, as a strategy to ensure that all persons who manage to slip through unapproved border crossing points are intercepted the Ghana Immigration Service, supported by the Ghana Police Service and the border security agencies, mounted inland and snap checkpoints at strategic locations, not only on the Accra-Afrawo road, but other roads leading to land borders in the country. The inland and snap checkpoints also serve as a second layer in view of the threat of terrorism and other transnational organized crimes within the sub-region. Thank you. Right Honorable.
Honorable Member, any supplementary?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, and I thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to ask the Honorable Minister if in effect he's agreeing that there are indeed more than the 4 that are earlier mentioned, because the checkpoints also add to security barriers. Is that not the case, Honorable Minister?
Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you. There are barriers and there are snap checkpoints. Barriers are permanent, fixed points that are established for regular use. But checkpoints can arise based on intelligence, that they might get intelligence that a particular vehicle is carrying either narcotics or arms or explosives. Those come up and move on. They are not permanent. So that's why I started by giving you the established barriers and also alluding to the practice of checkpoints. And those are a different category. And I cannot tell, because right now, as I stand here, there can be checkpoints established based on intelligence. But as far as barriers are concerned, I've stated what the permanent barriers are. Thank you.
Well, the figure he's giving is 5. So you take note of that. The first 4 plus the newly approved, I don't know whether it's newly, but I said there's also an approved police barrier at Chopoli near Pram Pram. So that makes it 5. The rest are snap checkpoints. Yes. Next supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At these checkpoints and barriers, you would find that passengers in commercial vehicles, sometimes private vehicles, are made to get down, disembark. People are checked. Sometimes they are asked for identification of citizenship. People are made to pull down their pants. Has all these kinds of things come to your attention, Honorable Minister?
Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I do know that when it comes to the checking of possible terrorists, the nationality of the persons are important, and therefore we want to find out if people are Ghanaian, and you ask produce the cards. But the policy is for everybody to be treated in a decent manner with due regard to their rights. So if the allegation is that people are publicly stripped, it's something that I would have to take up, and I'll be glad if you give me further specific information as to which barrier and when it took place. I would declare in my mind. Of course, if some people sometimes carry contraband on their bodies, but even then, we expect that there should be some decency in searching such a person. You cannot stand among other passengers and want to. So if you have that specific complaint, I would say it's against policy, it infringes the human rights of the people concerned, and that I'll be prepared to take up, especially if you give me further information. Thank you, Right Honorable.
Yes, Honorable Member. Any last supplementary?
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity again, and I just want to thank the Minister for Interior, and I will provide the information that I have to him because the embarrassing situation and sometimes almost apartheid nature of these interrogations need to be addressed. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
May you continue to ask your next question, question number 404.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for the Interior what the ministry is doing to alleviate the suffering of border communities, especially the residents of Aflau, whose sources of livelihood has not been accessible to them due to the closure of the land borders. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Before I answer, may I also indicate that I come from a border community and share probably in the challenges that you face. But Right Honorable Speaker, government is aware of the impact that the closure of land borders is having on border communities, especially their business. It must, however, be noted that the closure does not affect only border residents and Aflawo in particular, but Ghanaian businesses generally, because you realize that there are strict movement regulations as to how you can send in and bring out goods. It is in this regard that the government introduced the Ghana COVID-19 Alleviation and Revitalization of Enterprises Support CARES as a Batampa program to alleviate the impact on businesses and other sectors of the economy. It is my conviction that Ghanaians in general and those along the borders, including Aflao, will take advantage of the intervention to enhance the fortunes of their businesses till the borders are open, hopefully, as soon as we can. Thank you.
Honorable members, this goes beyond constituency. So I'll allow other supplementary questions from other members. What deals with border communities and they cut across other constituencies, not only the honorable members' constituency. So please, you may ask your last supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, the unique nature of the Aflao border is well captured in a lot of literature. This border has a community that tails straight into the capital town of another country. So in its unique nature, it positions itself as really the only access to the economic empowerment of the community. The intervention that you just made reference to really cuts out the ones who are in Accra we call them the Kayaye, who are in the community who will not benefit from this intervention. So my specific question now is, what is the intervention to address those specific communities that I mentioned? If you roast plantain or you sell dokubi, turkey tail at the border, this intervention doesn't assist you. What is there for them? Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, beyond this program that is known to all of us, the Ministry of the Interior does not have any specific program targeted at businesses. It does not. And I will tell you, as the Right Honorable Speaker is talking about, in some of the border areas in the north, the hall is in Ghana and the kitchen is across the border. We have those situations. So all I can say is that beyond this program that I know of, I do not have within the limits of the Ministry of the Interior any specific program that relates to the businesses and how we can revive them. I would plead that probably you direct your questions appropriately to the specific ministries. But what I can say is that we hope that we can manage the borders in a manner that we ameliorate the impact.
Mr. Speaker.
You want to add to number 3?
That would be
I think you got the third one.
This is the third, please.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. This is
Yes,
the third.
you can go on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, your ministry is a cabinet ministry. Is it the case that in the decision to close the borders, no consideration was made to alleviate the suffering of the people who live along the borders? Is that the case?
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to say that the situation of border towns was carefully and strictly analyzed. And that's what I talked to you, just like the situation that you are explaining in Aflawo. The fact still remains that a certain minimum activity continues. Farming on both sides of the borders is a known fact. I can see you laugh, we know it. And of course, schooling, we do know that it's also a kind of existing. In fact, we take these things into consideration, and we especially directed that the COVID vaccines be directed at those communities because they are most vulnerable as far as this is concerned. And so these are the ways in which we've tried to deal with the matter. What is now left is we ourselves could mobilize our people. For instance, we have closed the border to human movement. We haven't closed it to goods. We have not. We have not. Yes, please, trucks come in and go out. So we check on the truck to make sure that it's not being abused to bring in more people, but the goods come in. Our problem is that most of our people are smallholders. So could we organize and see how we can deal with the border authorities as far as these things are concerned, so that they can also pass as goods that can go either way, is possible, and we can engage that. So it is a matter that is serious, and we consider it seriously. Thank you.
Any supplementary from any member? Yes, let me give it to you because you've been standing up for some time now. Yes, Honorable Dafiamapo.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, may I find out from the Honorable Minister whether the decision by the ECOWAS of state and governments during their 60th ordinary session meeting held in Abuja in December, as part of the communique released, was that they will open the borders of all member countries on the first day of January 2022. And the communique had been released. And so I want to find out that we are in February 2022. Why other countries in the sub-region have opened their borders pursuant to that communique, but Ghana hasn't followed suit. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that, permit me, I want to be careful that I don't use a word that might not be parliamentarily suitable. It has been taken to open the borders as of 1st February. No, it's not on. Yes, there was a publication on media. There was. I have chaired ECOWAS Ministers of Interior meeting in Abuja. I have been part of the security heads of the sub-region in Accra, Labadi Buj. And I want to assure you that the borders of Togo, Burkina Faso, and Cote d'Ivoire remain closed as I speak to you. They are closed as I speak to you. They are not open. But we still try to manage the affairs in such a way that we are in a very situation. For instance, 6 trucks of cyanide were being sent to Burkina Faso, stopped at Paga. We do not say because the borders are closed, that no, but we are ensuring that even in that activity, we eliminate extremist participation to our detriment. And so we insist that on both sides, security should help. But as far as the closure of borders are concerned, they are still closed.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I am grateful to you for the opportunity. So, Speaker, with your permission, I want to read from the communique issued by ECOWAS after its 59th ordinary session meeting on the 19th of June in Accra, chaired by ECOWAS Chairman, Mr. Speaker, and President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Yes. 19th of June 2021, 59th ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government, chaired by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana and Chair of the Authority. The following heads of state were in attendance: His Excellency Patrice Talon, President of the Republic of Benin, Roch Marok Christian Kabori, now I should say former President of Burkina Faso. But because of time, I want to go to the main issue, the gravamen of the matter. Item number 12, quote, the authority charges the President of the Commission to work with Member States and WAHO on the modalities to accelerate the reopening of land borders in a safe manner during the pandemic, in line with the agreed ECOWAS harmonized guidelines for free movement of people and goods during this pandemic, unquote. Item number 12. So, Mr. Speaker, my question is, what steps is Ghana taking following this ECOWAS decision to accelerate the opening of the land borders, as ECOWAS heads of state have agreed at a meeting chaired by our President? What steps are you taking to accelerate? And do you have timelines? When will our land borders be opened? Because the suffering is excruciating. Our people are really, really suffering, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I'm very happy about the quotation that has come from the Honourable Member of Parliament. The ECOWAS Commission President was asked to work with Member States to achieve a certain result. That is not a definite decision that by this time it should be. May I land? I went to Abuja. This year to chair a meeting. And all this is done in the context of security. And you, being a prominent member of the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee, know what has happened since then. Since then, You do know Northern Benin has been hit, Northern Togo has been hit, Northern Cote d'Ivoire has been hit, 8 kilometers to Ghana have been hit. Those are the things that come into the consideration of making sure that these things. What are we doing to accelerate it? We have put our defense arrangements together, working together to make sure that we fortify the security within which we can then continue to enjoy as much as possible the free movement of goods and services, which is in our mutual interest, of course, because the impact of COVID-19 on our economies must be ameliorated. But I'm telling you that since June, a lot has happened to make it impossible to achieve as at now. On Saturday, another level of security is taking place, but I can assure you that concrete measures are being taken to make sure that we actually consolidate and then we can deal with it. So it's within the context of the dictates of our security that it hasn't happened so far, but we are committed to making it happen as soon as arrangements are effectively in place. Thank you.
Honorable members, I think that is sufficient for the honorable member is the honorable representative of Ododo constituency. His border now is the sea. Well, nobody asked any question concerning the sea border. So I'll permit you, then we can now go to the next question, standing in the name of Ms. Comfort Doyo Kujo. Yes, please.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm asking this in a bit confused mood.
After that, the second deputy speaker will take the chair.
Now,
I have to attend to some other commitments. Yes, please.
As at now, the conditions prevalent, is it the fear or the threats of, let me say, insurgents or some rebel activity or that is keeping the borders closed, or the COVID? Because the borders were closed due to the COVID. If today the COVID is relaxed, is this still relevant for it to be closed, or the fear of what is happening around West Africa is what is keeping our borders closed?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Yes, historically, the decision to close was first dictated by the COVID. But as the security situation deteriorated and we saw certain movements that really we needed to check, security then became part of the reason why. You recall that I had earlier been invited to this August House on the question of why security agencies had been moved to the borders. Certainly, if the motivation was merely COVID, then what you needed was medical teams and not security teams. So yes, security became part of it. But I want to emphasize that it's not because of fear of security. We are not afraid as a collective in the sub-region, but we are conscious of our obligations to our citizenry to make sure that we protect them against the activities of a handful of extremists. So yes, it has become the case, and I believe, my honorable, you know that the Gulf of Guinea has its own challenges that we need to work on, and that we are working on. So we are not afraid. We are convinced that we will work and solve these problems as soon as possible. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Member for Efitu.
Honorable Minister, from your answer, is it your case that all steps are being taken to ensure that citizens living along the borders are not impoverished? Is that what you are telling us? Because the member who asked was concerned about human activities, the commercial activities, because the borders have closed. Are you saying that steps are being taken to ensure that citizens are not impoverished as a result of the border closure?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Right, Honorable Speaker. Two major things that guide us. First, the security of the border communities. Because for an enabling or conducive macro environment for business must be security. Must be security. People must feel safe to go to their farms, feel safe to move around, to engage. Is important. And then the activities of the citizenry. Both are very important, and we are doing the best we can in the circumstances to make good our obligations to our citizenry in those regards.
Very well. Let me come to Honorable Member for Ada, Honorable Comfort Doyo Kujo, on question number 540. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Interior measures put in place to address complaints filed at the police station in relation to the cybercrime and or impersonation of members of Parliament and or ministers of state on social media platforms, leading to the defrauding of unsuspecting people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The police administration, in collaboration with UNICEF and the support of the government of Ghana, has set up an ultra-modern digital forensic laboratory at the Cybercrime Unit of the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service. The setting of the forensic laboratory is to enable Ghana Police deal effectively with emerging incidents of cyber fraud using name and identities of high-profile personalities to defraud unsuspecting victims, including the use of mobile money payment system. Right, Honorable Speaker, the police administration has additionally set up a special cybercrime investigation section that handles cyber-related offenses. There is also a cyber patrol section which serves through the cyberspace to detect and prevent any cybercrime activities. Right, Honorable Speaker, it is pertinent to note that a lot of successes have been chalked in the fight against cybercrime. Over 2,000 Facebook accounts have been taken off over the last 3 years, and several arrests of suspects perpetrating those crimes have been made and prosecuted, while others are at various stages of investigations. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would like to advise the general public, and especially high-profile personalities like my colleagues here, to report to the cyber unit of the CID on any impersonation of their social media handle for immediate action. Thank you. Right on.
Yes, Honorable Comfort, any supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as you said, we should report any such incident to the police or the crime unit. I arrested one myself, including I used my aid and we arrested one. And I sent him to the Kotobabi police station. And they started working on it. I went to police headquarters, to the cybercrime unit, to inform them. 2 years on, 11th January 2020, they are still doing investigation. Meanwhile, we arrested them with evidence. And I had the culprit to the police at Kotobabi police station. And when I asked, they said the court has given a letter to MTN to provide more information. I don't know, apart from the evidence I gave them, I don't know what they are looking from MTN. And 2 years old, from 11 January to 2020, still, they are still doing investigation. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the minister, how long will it take them to finish an investigation before prosecution? Because it's long overdue. A woman managed to arrest somebody who has impersonated me. Then I hand over to the police. Then they just make the case useless case. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to assure my colleague that no court has said it's useless case here. It's quite, we are not there yet. But it's a matter of concern that you say since 11th January 2020. First, I would like you to understand that asking MTN to give them some information might well be necessary, but it shouldn't be the reason why there should be such a delay. As a matter of fact, the new IGP has said that cases that are delayed, a special search department has now been set up to deal with that. So I would like to know the name of your suspect and to find out at what stage the investigation is. But it's certainly not for us to kill the matter because we are all not safe as far as that is concerned. So I'll be glad to get the name of your suspect and to deal with it and to draw the IGP's attention to the fact that this must be one of the cases that he set up the cold cases department to deal with. And I'm sure we would make some progress. So I'm expecting feedback from 2 honorable members with specific information in this regard. Thank you.
Yes, honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, apart from the long answers the minister gave and the paperwork, still these impersonators are on social media day in, day out, especially recruitment time, and they use our names and use so many means to get money in our names. And there is a whole setup. And we have not seen on TV or here in anywhere one day that they have even moving to arrest anybody by themselves. So what are you putting in place to make sure that the police are doing to make sure they arrest people who are impersonating us? Because the poor people in the village are suffering in the hands of these people. They send their messages that bring 500 for a form, and then they will send to them because they don't even have network where they are to follow what is going on. So, Mr. Minister, please, that portion, that side of the police that is working on the cybercrime, we should see more actions. They should leave the offices and make sure they track those people. We are pleading.
Honorable member, are you advising or you are personal?
No, it's are they put in place so that the police will come out from their office and do the arrest themselves, so that we don't go around arresting people ourselves.
Right Honorable Speaker, I do understand the concerns of my colleague. I'm one of those whose name is used, and I sat in my office and a number of people came and said they brought the money. I said, what money is that? That somebody told them they should bring some amount of money for recruitment. We all suffered, and I share with you. What I take from your intervention is that you want to see concrete evidence of what they are doing, and I'm prepared to let them probably publish some of the things. Who are those who have been sent to court and convicted and sentenced? I know a number of people have done that. We should have that, and I would be happy to let you know that. But we should never give up. We should continue, and I'm fully with you on that matter. All of us suffer it, and the victims are our own constituents, unsuspecting constituents who are being exploited. So, right Honorable Speaker, I can assure you that I empathize with you, but I still want to know the name of the suspect as my entry point in meeting the IGP on this matter. Thank you.
Honorable, are you not satisfied? Okay, you may take your final.
Mr. Speaker, the minister should assure us police stations that receive cases and they don't just take it serious because they feel they do selective which one to take serious and work on. They should assure us so that we know, they know that the minister is serious now, or there are serious measures put in place for police stations that will receive cases that will not work on them, how to deal with them, please.
Minister, assure us with measures.
Right Honorable Speaker, I give the assurance, but not just in words. I can assure you that the IGP is actually taking steps against police who delay in these investigations. I can assure you that is happening, and I'm going to emphasize that. Just as I told you that there was a patrol session of the cyber, it's not to say that we are fully in control. We are not. And of course, when you give me the name of the suspect, we'll be able to tell where it started. It's a Kotobabi police station, and see how much delay was caused there. The other thing we have to consider is probably to expand the cyber crimes department and make sure that they are in more police stations, because it is possible that several police stations do not have that expertise, and therefore when you go and report, they might just record it as a normal case. These are all things that I can take up with the IGP, and I assure you there will be action. Thank you.
Yes, let him come to the honorable member for Proliferation.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. I'd like to inquire from the Minister what has come of the list of names of members of Parliament who are on social media. Their accounts were meant to be verified. We submitted all our details. What has been done with regards to the verification of our accounts to make it easier for the fake accounts to be shut down? Because our details were taken over a year ago, and we still haven't had any feedback, because this would serve as a means of guiding the police or cybercrime units on which accounts are fake.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to follow up on that. As I said, I don't know the stage of it, but certainly this is a step that should help in dealing with that. So I would like to check up with the IGP.
Very well. Let me come to you, member for Kita.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to find out from the Minister that cybercrime is a specialized area where only police headquarters have specialty. What plans is he having towards regions and then divisional command with regards to cybercrime?
Very well. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I think what the Honourable Member has read is spot on. It is an expertise that is not widespread within the police. And that's why in one of my answers I said we need to look at it and see now with the cyber authority that has been, the board was sworn in last week, we should work together. That is a pervasive threat to the country, and therefore, yes, we will need, but then we will need equipment and also this, but why not? We should. I would consult and see how quickly we can do that. But that is the problem. That knowledge is only within the cybercrime department. And as I stand here, I cannot say the staff strength. That's one of the things I need to check. How many people are involved and how well distributed are they? Right, Honourable Speaker, that is a point that we should take seriously to make all of us safer. Thank you.
Very well. Honourable members, let's turn to other paper addendum. Other paper. We have 3 questions for Honourable Minister for Interior. We want to deal with that before. There's one more. Oh, very well, very well. So let's come back to question number 741. But Honourable Yomi, you've already asked question to the minister. Is that all right?
Mr. Speaker,
you may go on the question.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for the Interior the measures in place to get rid of the proliferation of illegal arms and ammunition which are being used to perpetrate heinous crimes across the country.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. It is an undeniable fact that the uncontrolled proliferation of small arms and light weapons into the country results in untold human suffering, thus undermining development and socio-economic growth. Crimes such as robberies, murders, rape, armed violence, conflict, land and chieftaincy disputes are attributable to the easy access to illicit weapons. This serious situation calls for a concerted effort of all well-meaning Ghanaians to avert the social cost of proliferation and the misuse of small arms. Right, Honourable Speaker, to address the situation, the police administration, in collaboration with other security agencies and stakeholders, such as the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons, have developed a strategy to monitor, control, arrest, and prosecute persons involved in illicit arms transactions in the country. The following measures have been put in place. 1. The employment of intelligence-led police operation to search for and recover illegal weapons. And right over this, I can tell you we are raking in a lot under this operation. Second, stringent measures are put in place at the various entry points to check illegal arms and detect concealed firearms in shipment containers. 3, there are efforts in place to mark all categories of weapons at the magazines of security agencies in the country, using the ECOWAS unique marking code. This will make it easier for weapons to be identified and traced to a particular security agency in the event such a weapon is found at any crime scene. This is aimed at improving the physical security and stockpile management of weapons and prevent the temptation of elements within the security agencies from pilfering arms belonging to the state. 4. The laws which frown on manufacturing of arms are constantly monitored. Any blacksmiths found to be manufacturing guns are not spared. The monitoring exercise has led to the arrest of some blacksmiths in the eastern region who were reported to be providing locally manufactured guns to armed robbers. Right Honorable Speaker, I must also indicate that the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons has been embarking on public education and sensitization programs to educate the citizenry on the dangers associated with the proliferation of weapons. I take this opportunity to urge the public to provide information to the security agencies for swift intervention to arrest smugglers of small arms and light weapons and criminals in general. This will help in reducing the armed-related crimes in the country. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm aware of a few occasions where some individuals who claim they have information on some of these, but I don't know, would want some monetary, inducement before they give a vital information such as this. Some monetary, when incentives sort of. So I was of the view, even though I urged them, would the minister and government consider putting in place some of these incentives, motivate people for vital information, and must not just be expression of it and then not really carrying it out, because we have seen occasions where people do give vital information and have not been given what they have been promised. Will you consider where it is announced that, look, when you provide this and it leads to the arrest, these are some of the things you can get? Won't that help? Yes, so will you consider that?
Yes, Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, I can confirm that the IGP has put in place that system. And indeed, right now, and indeed, that is the approach that has helped to achieve the arrest that we've made. So if you have anybody, appropriately direct them, and we'll make sure you connect to the IGP, we would be prepared to motivate.
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Minister. As part of your measures, you indicated by law, local manufacturing is not allowed. And so you've identified it as those that are normally in the business of locally manufacturing arms are the blacksmiths. Would it be prudent to initiate a system where you identify these local manufacturers and register them, license them, build capacity, and let them be able to codify whatever they produce, and where you can go through a regime of noting how many of such is produced and the sale process and all that, in such a way that you will be able to even take stock of the quantities that are in the country, and who has bought them, and etc., than saying outright ban, when in actual fact, they hide and manufacture them anyway.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I believe, and I will need to engage the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons on this matter. But we do have an idea of those blacksmiths who produce some of these. We would rather that, but you have to engage them first before you would then be able to control them. Yes, I believe that we'll do that, but as I stand here, I need to find out from the National Commission on Small Arms to what extent that system is working. I do not have the data now, but I'm sure subsequently I can get the data from them. Thank you.
Finally,
you've
Mr.
exhausted
Speaker,
your
Mr. Speaker, it's so important that the education aspect, where you've indicated the work of the Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons, on maybe building capacity of the citizenry on the harmful effects of this and so on. But I don't think it's going down well, or you are deepening the education well. You haven't probably decentralized it to the constituencies or the various districts. Will you consider that, so that at least many more out there in the hinterland where some of these local manufacturings, for instance, take place, and the harmful effect they may not know, but also get themselves involved? And so how do you ensure that the aspect of education really gets to every little cranny of the country where people can appreciate the harmful nature and probably regulate the process if possible by law and then get good outcome? Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons is decentralized. They are establishing a number of regional offices, and I think in that process they'll be able to increase their catchment area and be able to listen. But yes, we have recognized that. I think they are working towards establishing in 11 regions. I need to find out what the progress is, but there is an agenda to do that. And I can agree with you more that education is very, very important, and we would have to do more than we are doing now. Thank you.
Let me come to our West.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to take the opportunity to ask a follow-up question on the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in the sub-region in an era of terrorism. I think that this is a very serious matter. Mr. Speaker, the question is, when the white man manufactures a gun, it is good for us to go and buy. When the black man manufactures, it is an illegality and will get him arrested and try to change his profession and let him do other things. Honorable Minister, are you considering professionalizing the local metal works so that weapons can actually be produced here and certified for use by the local people? It's a talent and we can't kill it. What do you think? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not aware that we have created the impression that guns produced by the white man or outside are admissible here, except by permit. So you know, as a professional, that even if you want to buy a gun, you apply to the Ministry of Interior and we would deal with it. But yes, that is why when the Honorable Wyoming talked about the blasphemy, I did not blanketly say they should not produce. I said we would need to register them to be able to monitor them and moving forward to know how we can ensure that just like those that are imported, if they are equally efficient, that we rather register rather than kill industry. But let me emphasize, whether locally or foreign produced, all arms and light weapons are illegal except you granted a permit to handle the same. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity once again. Day in, day out, a lot of illegal arms are entering into the country, and some are already existing in the country. I would like to find from the minister, will he consider moratorium where they will give a grace period in terms of controlling arms in the small arms in the country, where you give a moratorium for people voluntarily to register those arms, so that it will serve as a knowing and tracking those arms as people who register it, rather than going through the rigorous process, and you give some moratorium to allow free voluntary registration for a period and then close the period so that it will serve as an intervention in controlling the small arm. What is your take on that?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the National Commission on Arms and Small Arms and Light Weapons has given that before. We need to let them tell us what was the outcome of it, to analyze so that scientifically we can move forward. Much as I agree with you, that is an attractive idea, but we must be careful that we don't set up a practice by which from time to time we legitimize illegal importation of arms. But yes, we've done it before. I would need to find out what the impact was and see how feasible, how effective that would be. But what you should know is that if you come forward to register, we're not going to arrest you simply because you do so. If you offer, we're not going to arrest you. But if you don't offer and we catch you, then you are illegally in possession. Thank you.
Finally, let me give the last question to Honorable Member for Kote.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Would the Minister consider, perhaps, given that his submission today is in support of the local gun manufacturers, creating a register of certified blacksmiths who manufacture weapons, the way we have with the Medical Council and the traditional medical practitioners, in order to give them a formal means by which they can join a recognized group that's perhaps legally accepted? Because a lot of them are in hiding because of fear of, some kind of action being taken against them. So by the Minister's admission today, they are not being hunted down, so to speak, I beg your pardon, but there is nothing against them provided they are certified. So is there going to be a register they can be placed, provided they fulfill the criteria, so that they are recognized local gun manufacturers, for example?
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I've taken note of the Honourable Member of Parliament's intervention. We would continue to do what we are doing under the National Small Arms and Light Weapons. But the timing now would not be right for us to open up as if we want to increase the manufacture of small arms. But certainly it's a thing that we need to discuss with the National Commission, and we'll do so at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Honorable members, James, no. James, no. Honorable members, let's turn to the addendum paper. We have 3 questions for the same minister, so you answer it and you say bye-bye to him. So let me invite Honorable Member for Tamale Central, Honorable Ibrahim Mutara Mohammed. Honorable, the minister is available. Ask him your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for the Interior the state of the investigation into the alleged brutalization of the people of Changle in the Tamale Central constituency on the 18th of April 2020.
It is no longer an alleged. Put it on.
Honorable Member, before the minister responds to the question, let me indulge you to allow me to extend sitting beyond the normal times. So, Minister, you may now answer your question.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, on 16th April 2020, at about 700 hours, upon a complaint of stealing reported by one Bernard Wasa against Sadatu Mohammed Idrisu of Changle, Number 40906, Detective Sergeant Felix Amakwando, in charge. Number 41440, Detective Corporal Simon Buama. Number 6553, Detective Police Woman Corporal Rita Abajiwa. And number 54895, Detective Constable Samuel Ejapong, on board service vehicle number NR 9997-19, driven by the same Detective Sergeant Felix Amakwando, together with complainant, went to the house of suspect Sadatu Mohammed Idris to effect her arrest. The suspect was met in her house and was arrested and handcuffed. A young man believed to be the son of the suspect emerged at the scene and mobilized other residents of Changli, numbering about 500. They attacked the police and suspect from lawful custody. The rampaging youth then pounced on police officers and beat them to pulp, resulting in Detective Police Woman Rita Abajiwa falling unconscious and pushed into a gutter. The youth then escaped with the suspect and the handcuffs. A distress call was made to the control room and reinforcement team dispatched to the scene. They managed to rescue the police victim and took number 6553, Detective Police Woman Corporal Rita Abajiwa, to the Tamale Teaching Hospital for treatment, where she was admitted for 72 hours and issued a police medical form. Mr. Speaker, number 40906, Detective Sergeant Felix Amakwanda. Number 41440, Detective Corporal Simon Buama. And number 54895, Detective Constable Samuel Ejapong, who sustained various injuries, were also treated at the Tamale Teaching Hospital and discharged. Afterwards, police medical report forms were issued to them and same were endorsed by the medical officers at the hospital. On 17th April 2020, at about 10:00 hours, the Assemblyman of Chagli electoral area, Honorable Ibrahim, brought in suspect Sadatu Mohammed Idris, who had been rescued by the mob, with the handcuffs to the Tamale Central Police Station. She was rearrested, cautioned with the offense of assault on public officer and resisting arrest, and she was detained to assist with investigations. Suspect was put before the district court and the case is still ongoing. On 18th April 2020, at 0300 hours, the police conducted a swoop at Chengli, where the 4 police officers were attacked. 4 persons, namely Black Jesus, Cholo, More Money, and Palala, were identified as the ringleaders who instigated the attack on the police officers. The 4 officers were put before the court, awaiting the full recovery of the policewoman who was injured during the incident to testify as the prosecuting witness. Same day, Right Honorable Speaker, information received by the police command indicated that residents of Chagli community were attacking police officers and other tribes who were not indigenous. Based on this information, police dispatched their men to the area to restore peace. Upon seeing the arrival of the police, the residents pelted the police officers with stones and other offensive implements. The police, who were surrounded by the crowd, fired warning shots to disperse the mob. On 20th April 2020, one Mohammed Kamil Baba, a journalist reporting for TV Africa in Tamale, later came to the police station and reported that he was at the scene covering the incident when he was hit by an object believed to be a pellet. He was issued with police medical form to attend hospital and returned seeing indoors by the medical officer. The case is still under investigation. The docket has been forwarded to the Attorney General's Department for advice. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Tala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When I was listening to the minister, I was wondering whether the report was actually written in a different planet. As a matter of fact, the gentleman who was paralyzed as a result of the brutalization of the police in Changle is not even an indigent. So for a report to state that there was evidence that the residents in Changle were attacking non-indigents, I think it is just absolutely bizarre and unacceptable. The gentleman who is paralyzed, and his only crime is that he was living in Changle at the time.
So, Honorable, frame your question.
He gave the background, and I'm giving the background.
Before you ask,
Mr. Speaker, my question is simple. If someone was suspected to have manhandled police officers, the police has the capacity to arrest the person. They have the capacity to do their investigation, gather their intelligence to arrest the person. In your response, you have indicated that the assemblyman brought the suspect to the police. Clearly, it tells you that the residents in that area are reasonable beings.
Honorable Mutala.
And the incident, Mr. Speaker, the brutalization didn't happen at just one area. Changle is a residence of thousands of people. Several homes were entered into. A school bus was vandalized by men in uniform.
Honorable Mutala.
So
the minister is here to answer your questions, but it's like you are giving commentary. Just ask the question for the minister to answer. So all what you are saying, just frame it in the question.
Mr. Speaker, if the minister in his response had said, investigation is ongoing, but the minister gave us a background, and it is appropriate that for me to ask the question, I need to give the background.
So give the question. Come out.
My question is, what was the crime of even the school bus which was vandalized by men in uniform? Were you told, as the Minister for Interior, that the police entered into people's rooms? Some of the people who were molested, they molested them in their bedrooms. Were you informed?
Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to state it clearly that at no point in my answer did I refer to any people as being unreasonable. I did not. I did not. He said they are reasonable, and I did not. What I have said is that the docket has been forwarded to the Attorney General for advice. That is where it is now. So, no charges have come out yet. Who has done what? And in my answer, I told you that a journalist of TV Africa came out and also made an allegation. Right Honorable Speaker, the matter is being referred to the Attorney General for advice, and I would entreat the Honorable Member to wait for the outcome of the advice, which will then tell us who did what. So far, this statement does not convict anybody of any wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's been almost 2 years. It's been almost 2 years. As the representative of the people, I know a gentleman who, by the way, Honorable Minister, is not an indigent, is paralyzed as a result of those who have sworn an oath to protect lives and property. those people whose comfort and safety are ensured by the taxes of the residents of Changle. That gentleman is paralyzed. 2 years, almost 2 years. And the response we get is that it's being investigated. When will the investigation be complete?
Yes.
The member of parliament has got it wrong. The investigation has ended and the docket has been sent to the Attorney General's department. That's what I told you. The investigation has been completed and the docket is at the Attorney General's department. And honorable member, yes, I can understand your concerns and your feelings, but your residents should be told that now the matter is at Attorney General's. The investigations have been completed, and so there is progress. Thank you.
Well. Your final supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the residents who are watching this program live want to know what happens to those victims occasioned by the actions of police officers. Because in your response, you are telling us those who were arrested for allegedly manhandling the police officers. We want to know the victims the police brutalized. What has been the state of that?
Minister, are you minded to answer the question? Okay, very well.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the matter at the office of the Attorney General of Ghana, I cannot make any comment on it. There is no outcome of the advice. Whether people have been injured or not, all that will be contained in advice. And right, Honorable Speaker, I think that the work of the Interior Minister is suspended till after the advice of the Attorney General. But I can assure you that the police have taken steps to deal with any officer who has gone against the law, and you see in some of the answers that I'll give to you. And please, the matter is at the Attorney General's, and the matter has not been determined, and everybody is presumed innocent until convicted. When convicted, all those who are adversely affected by the actions, appropriate decisions will be taken by courts of competent jurisdiction.
Honorable Mutal, I come to you on question number I on the addendum paper. Honorable members, this is constituency specific. The question is on Tamale Central.
And that you states are genuine.
It doesn't matter. I'm not giving you the opportunity. Honorable Bauer, I'm not giving you the opportunity. Honorable Mutala, take the second question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, but we still want to know whether the report involved the brutalization of the people by the police themselves. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for the Interior the state of the investigation yet again in Tamale. I don't know what the crime of the people of Tamale is. Investigation in the alleged molestation of residents of Nakanzo in the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly in 2021. By the way, it was captured on national television and the entire social media.
Very well, Honorable Minister.
Then, Honorable Speaker, just on the latter side, I wanted my brother to know that what comes on TV and social media probably belongs to the Minister of Information. But I will give the answer and you see what we've done. On 21st September 2021, at about 9:00 hours, the Northern Region Command intercepted 3 separate video recordings circulating on social media, which showed some police officers from the Regional Police Command molesting suspects allegedly connecting electricity to their homes in some parts of Tamale. The Regional Command therefore commenced investigation into the issue. The videos were carefully examined by the command, and 4 police personnel of the Regional Police Counter-Terrorism Unit, RCTU, Tamale, were identified. On 21st September 2021, 4 officers identified on the video assaulting the suspect's victims were interdicted. Please listen and sorry, don't ask me a question. The 4 officers were interdicted and they are currently facing administrative disciplinary procedure. On 21st September 2021, at about 21:30 hours, the regional police commander visited the victims and extended to them the unconditional apologies on behalf of the Inspector General of Police and the police administration. A team of clinical psychologists dispatched by the IGP from the police headquarters Accra also offered counseling services to the victims and their families. Findings: 1. The duty was lawful. A complaint was filed by VRA NEDCO officials, including Samuel Marvelous Kumi, Loss Control Supervisor VRA NEDCO, and Emmanuel Ofori, Security Officer VRA NEDCO, at the Regional CID, and officers were detailed to effect the arrest of the suspects identified. 2. 8 police officers, comprising 2 detectives and 6 RCTU officers, were detailed to assist the NEDCO officials trace and arrest the suspects identified. During the arrest of the suspects, 4 RCTU officers subjected the suspects under arrest to whipping with wire embedded in rubber cables. 4. The apparatus wire embedded in rubber cables used by the officers to whip the suspects is not a police accoutrement. As such, its use was unlawful. 5. 7 victims suffered the abuses of the officers, but one of them decided not to cooperate with the investigators, leaving 6 persons on record to have suffered at the hands of the police. 6. From the medical reports of victims, it is evident that all the 6 victims suffered various degrees of bodily harm as a result of assault meted out to them by the officers. However, only 3 victims are directly linked to the scene. 4 RCTU men have been identified responsible for the assault on the victims. They include 45895 General Corporal Foster Mensah, number 55909 General Corporal Mohammed Abbas, number 56510 General Constable James Mijida Zulukafo, and number 56515 General Constable Isaac Amwabeng Bimpo. The actions of the officers during the arrest of suspects amounted to misconduct, and they are therefore been interdicted to enable disciplinary action to take place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Motala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's interesting that in the second incident, the police saw the need to go and provide psychological attention to the victims. Yet the Channel One, even though some are paralyzed, the police didn't see the need to do so. Mr. Speaker, what steps is the ministry taking to ensure that the occurrences such as this are not repeated?
Minister, hold on. Is it in respect of the previous question or this particular question?
No, this one.
Well, because I overheard you revisiting the. Very well. So, Minister, let's hear you.
Right Honorable Speaker, as has been stated in the response, the police administration itself found the behavior of the officers unacceptable, clearly a misconduct. They are going through disciplinary action. At the end of it, I'm sure appropriate, and if further action is needed, accordingly it will be dealt with. I want to emphasize that the ministry is very clear in its mind that the police officers are supposed to protect the citizenry and respect their human rights. And where clearly they do something that's out of order, it is dealt with. We do not need any prompting from anybody to deal with that. And I can assure you that whatever needs to be done would be done. And at least, Honorable MP, nobody would overlook the plight of your constituents who are unfairly treated by security officers of this country. They will be dealt with according to law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Changli people have been overlooked, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, when will you come and tell this House the conclusion of the investigation in the matter? Oh, you indicated that the investigation is ongoing and that there have been some police officers identified to have occasioned the inhuman treatment given to those people.
Honorable Member, go on. Just
I want to know when that investigation will be concluded and as to whether the people of Nakwanzo will be informed, because this attracted the attention of everybody in Tamale. It is appropriate that you inform the people when the investigation will be completed and as to what actions you are taking against them.
Right, Honorable Speaker, this is action being taken by the police, and I believe they're on the right path. They are facing disciplinary action now. The police has found that the accoutrement they used were unlawful. They have found out what they did is wrong. They have been interdicted and action being taken. This is within the remit of the Inspector General of Police. The executive would not interfere in that matter, except to assure that the right thing must be done. So I believe the disciplinary action is being taken currently. When they will end, I believe the important is to let them know, as you have raised, that the people want to see the outcome very quickly, and it does help all of us that it happens that way. But I cannot usurp the functions of the IGP to give deadlines here, except to say that we will insist that they do it expeditiously and the results will be made known. Beyond that, I cannot give any further details beyond that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know whether my uncle was actually listening to me. I can understand. Maybe he's a bit tired. I never said and I never suggested that you should interfere in the investigation that is ongoing. But this is something that affected the whole community. People are extremely angry. Now, people want to know when the investigation will be completed. As part of our transparent governance and accountable governance, they ought to be informed at the stage that you are.
Honorable Member, you've just asked this question.
No, his response is eliciting this question.
So this is your last supplementary question?
Oh, that's fine.
Yes.
I'm saying that the people want to know. My question is simple. The stage at which the investigation is being done, you are the Minister for Interior. You are asking the police to give you information for and on behalf of the people of Nakwanzo. That is my question.
Minister, any further?
Okay. I take exception to the insinuation by my colleague that he thinks there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. And I take exception to that. I seriously take exception to that. Look, you listen carefully to the report. I have not said they are still investigating. The people are facing disciplinary action. You need to check your knowledge about the procedures before. They are not investigating. They have investigated and found that there is misconduct. And they are facing disciplinary action.
Now I'm not angry because you cannot use, and I want to tell you, it's a constitutional provision that the IGP is in charge of operational matters, and I respect that constitution. I cannot therefore come now and be exposing deadlines and the content of that. Please, the disciplinary action is ongoing, and when it's finished, the IGP will let us know what it is. I respect the constitution, and I will not do anything beyond it.
Honorable Motala, member for Tema Central, you may turn to question number I on the addendum paper. I said this is constituency specific.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, you see, I did not rise on the first one because it was a Tamale Central question. But the second question is a Tamale Metropolitan Area question. With all due respect, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, you may go on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to find out from the Minister, even as I do not wish to go back to the constituency-specific question, whether he notices a pattern of such molestations in Tamale. And the third question will bear this observation out. And whether the Minister notices a pattern of such molestations, and if such molestations, in his view, perhaps can be reduced if the Tamale or the Northern Region area had a police training school. I do not want to be specific about the people who, in your answers, are responsible for some of these molestations, the police officers especially. Could it be a problem of cultural misfits, lack of appreciation of the dynamics and culture of the area that results in some of these clashes? And if it is possible for a police training school that will enable...
Honorable member, the question.
So the question is, I'm asking the Minister if he thinks it is reasonable, if he has noticed a pattern of these molestations, and if that pattern can be checked with, for example, the introduction of a police training school that will allow for people from all walks of life who want to be police officers to train in that region, and perhaps will understand better how to relate with the people in that area. Mr. Speaker, that is my question. Whether there's a pattern, and whether that pattern can be addressed with the establishment of a police training school that will enable people who will undergo training in the community to relate with the community better and come out and serve better. Thank you.
Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may I draw attention to Order 67, 1E. Questions must comply with the following conditions. The question shall not solicit the expression of an opinion or solution of an abstract legal case or hypothetical proposition. This guy clearly is eliciting the personal opinion relating to an abstract matter.
Well noted, Leader. Honorable Minister, if you are minded to answer his question.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I am not about to, as it were, label any area with a problem or a solution. No. Tamale is a city, it's a capital of where I come from, and therefore should be respected like any other city. In this matter, it's clear that the police have done something wrong, and is clearly being taken care of. The outcome can be what can cause a comment one way or the other if it does not turn out to be what is expected for people who make mistakes. That is a different matter. The point of a school in Tamale, if you have land and you want a police training school to be open, you may as well make that proposition. For instance, we have a police training school 100 miles north of there at Palugu. And if you read this particular report, it's not exactly the case that the offending police officers are from one side. There are two names there. That sounds quite familiar names. And I want to make it clear that every security personnel must live up to expectation, no matter who you are. And every Ghanaian is entitled to the protection of his or her human rights, no matter who you are. No discrimination, equality before the law. And I can assure you, you will find justice in this matter. Thank you.
Very well. So, Honorable Mutala, you may take your last question, question I, on the addendum paper.
If my senior colleague feels unhappy about the fact that I said he was tired, I'm sorry. It's just I could notice the tiredness in him and his response.
Honorable Mutala,
Mr. Speaker, arise.
Go on to
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for the Interior the state of the investigation on the matter of the police shooting at the residence of Lamashegu on the 13th of February 2022.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker. On 13th February 2022, there was a shooting incident at Lamashego Chief's Palace at between 12:30 and 1:00, involving number 46497, General Corporal Samson Kweku, leader of the police patrol team, in which one Abdul Rahman Jabril was shot in the waist. As a result of that incident, the youth of Lamashego attacked Lamashego Divisional Police Headquarters amid train of stones and other offensive objects. A police reinforcement team was called to Lamashego Divisional Police Headquarters, where warning shots were fired to disperse the crowd. Abdul Hakim Yakubu was hit by a stray bullet and later regrettably died at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. 6 others who sustained bullet wounds were also rushed to Tamale Teaching Hospital. 3 of the victims, namely Abdul Rahman Abdul Jabir, Amin Mohammed Tofik, and Alasan Yusuf, are still on admission, responding to treatment, whilst Ibrahim Alasan, Abdullah Wahab, and Abdul Rashid Karim were treated and discharged. On 14th February 2022, a team of investigators comprising crime scene management and ballistic experts from the CID headquarters, led by Deputy Director General, CID, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Frederick Kojo Ajayi, arrived in Tamale for investigations. On 15 February 2022, post-mortem examination was performed on the body of the deceased, Abdul Hakim Yakubu, by the pathologist, Professor Edmond Moner of Tamale Teaching Hospital. The body has since been released to the bereaved family for burial. On the same day, a team from the Police Professional Standards Bureau arrived in Tamale to investigate the professional conduct of the police personnel. Number
46497, General Corporal Samson Kofu Dafo was put before the Tamale Circuit Court, where he was remanded into custody to reappear on Thursday, 24 February 2022. On same day, General Lance Corporal, General Lady Corporal Richard Memunu alias Money Granting, who used abusive words on the chief and people of Lamashegu on his Facebook account, was also put before the circuit court. He was granted bail in the sum of 5,000 with 2 sureties for him to reappear on Monday, 28 February 2022. Meanwhile, this murder action is being taken against the 2 policemen for misconduct in addition to the ongoing criminal prosecution. Thank you. Right.
Yes, Honorable Mutala. This one, do you want to submit a question?
I want my uncle to sit first.
Very well.
I don't want him to get tired. Mr. Speaker. Oh. Okay. Speaker has not given you. Mr. Speaker, have you given him?
I insist that you draw it.
Respect the Speaker.
No. Please.
Mr. Speaker, I'm on
those allegations of always telling I'm tired, I take exception to it. It's unprofessional. It's unparliamentary. What attitude is that?
Yes. What is going on? Honorable Mutala, I ask you to ask your supplementary question. But be straightforward to the question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I withdraw and apologize. I didn't mean any harm. He's my uncle. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Honorable Minister.
Who is your uncle?
That there is a pattern that in all these incidences, live bullets were used. Is it appropriate for the police officers to be engaged in using live bullets, which occasioned the loss of a life of a prospective young guy, Abdul Hakim, who by now would have been checking his BEC results? And it is not just in Lamashegu. We have seen a pattern of such incidences happening where live bullets are used. Is it appropriate for the police officers?
Very well. Honorable Minister, the question is the pattern of the police is using live bullets.
Pattern of the police. I haven't seen the pattern of the police using live bullets. I've seen in this case a use of live bullet which is inappropriate. That one I accept. But we say a pattern of police using live bullets. And if you use live bullets, there are standard operating procedures that you must apply to. Don't let us get into this matter. Where was the person hit? All that will be taken into consideration and action will be taken. In this case, we are taking them on 2 fronts: criminal prosecution and professional work. And we are going to ensure. Is the police equipped to deal with situations with our live bullets? Yes. We have rubber bullets that we can use. We have other non-violent equipment that we can use. This has been an unfortunate incident, and we are dealing with it as seriously as we can on the 2 fronts. But I cannot say that there is a pattern of reckless use of live bullets. No.
Very well. Honorable, this is the last opportunity I'm giving to you.
Mr. Speaker, I thought my reference to a pattern.
I'm saying this is the last question.
Okay, I agree. Techima Saf is a classical example. Ablekuma is a classical example. Odododio
Honorable
is a
member.
classical example. Yes. Changli is a classical example. So if this cannot be qualified to be a pattern, then what else? Ejura is a classical example. So, Honorable Minister, there is a pattern. And in all these incidences, people demonstrating, and the police ought to understand that they swear an oath to protect lives and property. Yes. This trigger happy police force doesn't help us and it doesn't help you. Mr. Speaker, My last question is, Honorable Minister.
Honorable, go on with the question.
When he was speaking and I was talking, so I said I should lend him my ears.
Yes.
I want him to be looking at me.
You should speak to me. Yes.
You were there, but he said I should be looking at him.
I'm saying speak to me. Speak to me.
Honorable Minister, the people of Lamashegu and Tamale Metro would want to know when this investigation will complete. The reason why they want to know is because of the example in Changli and Napanzo. When will this investigation end so that appropriate sanctions or actions will be taken by the police force under the supervision of the Minister for Interior?
Well. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker. The Ghana Police Service now has got the best record of managing demonstrations in this country's history. Yes, we've given permission to all to demonstrate, and we've ensured that the police must protect those demonstrating. And right, the last number of we started under the former IGP with the Fix the Country demonstration up to date. The Ghana Police Service has a good record of protecting protesters and making sure that the right things happen. And my honorable member and I have different concepts of investigation. He chooses to use investigation when a docket is with the Attorney General. I don't. He chooses to use investigation when people are before court. I don't. We have different views. That's what I'm saying. We have different views. And now, Mr. Speaker, what I'm answering this question, and you should not be importing extraneous material into this question.
Honorable Minister, on behalf of the House, I would like to thank you for attending upon the House to answer 8 separate questions. We thank you and we are hereby discharged. Let's now invite the Honorable Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources to also answer questions from members. The first question stands the name of a member from Upper Menyakrobo, Honorable Bismarck Tete Nyako. And please let me give this brief. These questions are also not going to attract any supplementary question from members outside the owners of the questions. So, no. So, Honorable Member, let's hear you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister what plans government has to extend treated water from the Bukuno waterworks that belongs to Ghana Water Company to nearby districts in Upper Manyakrobo and Asesewa. Thank you.
Respectful Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The Bukono water treatment plant has a design capacity of 19,400 cubic meters per day, and it was completed in 2009 with funding from Belgium. As part of the works under the project, approximately 35 kilometers of transmission pipeline was laid from Bukono to Koforidua. Standpipes were also provided along the transmission pipeline to serve communities on the stretch. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Water Company Limited has drawn up a proposal for the extension of water to the other parts of Upper Manyakrobo district
and its environs at an estimated cost of 8,612,000 Ghana cedis, which is being implemented in phases. Mr. Speaker, currently, the Ghana Water Company Limited has laid 16.6 kilometers of 160 millimeter HDPE pipelines from Otrope to Asasehene as part of phase 1 of the project. The project, when completed, will serve Asasehene, Mensa, Dawa Kolewa, Kono, Dawa, Akatawia, and Otrope. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, any follow-up question?
Yes, Speaker. My question is to seek government plans on nearby communities and Asesewa. The Minister has given us that of government plans for the other communities, but nothing on Asesewa. I want to draw Minister's attention if you have any government plans to extend water to Asesewa as well.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, definitely. I added all these communities as an additional water supply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Honorable Ted, the owner of the question is even up, and we are still. Yes, let me hear your last follow-up question.
Speaker, I have two more supplementary questions. And the second one, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the official report of Parliament on 1st June, Thursday, 1st June 2006, column 464, paragraph 1. Speaker, the report indicates that communities between the Volta Lake and where the treatment plant is situated, all those communities will have to be connected to water. Speaker, as I speak with you now, today, none of these communities have been connected. I want to ask the Minister whether those communities will be added to the extension project the Ghana Water Company has embarked.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've taken the information, and definitely, since we are implementing the project in phases, we'll look at that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Yes, your last supplementary question.
Speaker, the very last one. Speaker, the laying of pipelines, as stated by the Minister, started in 2015 and completed in 2016. That is what we are told that is phase 1 now. Speaker, since then, nothing has been done on that project. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister whether the phase 2 or the continuation of phase 1, which involved the laying of pipelines from Otrokwe to Asasehene, what are the timelines, if any? Thank you.
Minister, any timelines?
Mr. Speaker, we are having the phase 1 now. Definitely the phase 2 will come on board. But I cannot, as I stand here, Mr. Speaker, give the timeline yet. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Honorable Labi, this is constituency specific. Anyway, let me give you the opportunity.
Mr. Speaker, this issue borders Upper Manya, Lower Manya, and the Yilo. The Brukuno Dam is situated, within this enclave.
So that's why I'm giving you the opportunity.
Yes, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the Minister, insofar as I know, the first phase was supposed to include extension of water to Obopa, where we have this new senior high school. The pipes were procured and they have been lying there for almost 5 years now. The last time I checked, the Ademachers in the communities told me, some workers from Ghana Water and Sewage have been coming for the pipes gradually, and it is getting finished. May I know if, that project will still, be considered under what she just told us?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll crave your indulgence and find out the current situation. Mr. Speaker, I did say that 16.6 kilometers of pipelines have been laid. I'll look at it if these ones were part of the pipelines that were used and then replaced to have the project continue. Thank you.
Let's move to question number 296. 296. That stands the member for Boom. Honorable Member Abednego Azuma Bandin. Honorable, you may ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The constituency is Bumpurgu. I notice you've always had difficulty in pronouncing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to ask the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources when the rest of the Bumpurgu Township and its environs will be connected to the Bumpurgu community water system. Thank you.
Yes, respectfully.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Bumpurgu Township is provided with a small town water system constructed under the Northern Region Small Towns Water and Sanitation Project in 2014. The system is currently being managed by the community, which, with technical support from the Bumpurgu Nampaduri District Assembly. Mr. Speaker, it is worth mentioning that the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, under its policy reforms, agreed with the community and the District Assembly to take over the responsibility of the water system in 2018 to rehabilitate the 6 boreholes serving the water system and expand supply to improve water delivery service to the community. After the CWSA had carried out the rehabilitation works, there were agitations from the community, resulting in the community taking over the management of the facility again. Mr. Speaker, by the close of 2020, the water system in Bumpurgu was in severe crisis due to poor management, frequent pipe bursts, inability to pay electricity bills, and long down times. Consequently, the chiefs, elders, and other stakeholders appealed to the Community Water and Sanitation Agency again for support. The agency subsequently carried out an assessment and found out that an estimated amount of 3,500,000 cedis was required to repair the damage and extend the pipe networks to unserved areas in the community. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, through the CWSA, has made provisions in the 2022 budget to enable the CWSA repair the damage and extend the pipe network to unserved areas in the community. It must be emphasized that the Community Water and Sanitation Agency will go through the necessary transition arrangements and take over the management of the water system to sustain it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very grateful for the Minister providing us with historic information and the problems and plans that she intends to embark upon. But the question is, when? What are the timelines in ensuring that other communities get connected? Thank you.
Yes, Minister, timelines.
Mr. Speaker, as soon as the transition arrangements of takeover are carried out, because without that, I cannot promise the timelines. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well. Anyway, now your last chance.
Also, I thought I have 2 more questions. Follow-ups.
You've already asked 2 supplementary, so last one.
This is my first, so I have 2, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. May I know from the Minister the nature of the problem, because they require about 3.5 million Ghana cedis to be able to repair and then connect to other communities. I know that as at the day before yesterday, they pumped water. It is only yesterday and today that water didn't flow. So if water is flowing, what is the nature of the problem that they require that amount of money to work on?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The works involve laying of pipelines as well, hence the amount of 3.5 million. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member Abednego, will you move to question number 297? That stands in your name again.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity again to ask the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources what plans the ministry has put in place to address the water supply problems of the Bunkuru and Konduri district, especially the remote communities within the district. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Bunkuru and Binde are communities within the Bunkuru and Konduri district, which are supplied with safe water from small town water systems. 5 other communities within the district are served with potable water from limited mechanized water systems. Furthermore, majority of the remaining communities have access to hand pump boreholes. In view of population growth, Mr. Speaker, the water facilities cannot meet the current water demand. Consequently, the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, in collaboration with the Bunkuru and Paduri District Assembly, have earmarked the communities without access to safe water as first priority for future water supply projects in the district. Furthermore, the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, through the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, has made provision in the 2022 budget to enable the CWSA provide new water facilities for communities without access to safe water supply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Abednego.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Any supplementary question?
Yes, please. Mr. Speaker, again, the Minister has indicated that certain communities have been earmarked to be considered for future water supply. May I ask the Minister the timelines again, because he said future projects in the district. Or is it future, specifically, what is the time frame?
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, since we have provision within the budget, I'll just say it won't take too long. So I can provide the timelines to the Honorable Member when we get them ready. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Abednego, any further question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister mentioned that some communities will be considered or earmarked for the projects to benefit from the project. May I have the opportunity of knowing these communities since I am their representative?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have mandated the CWSA to work with the assemblies, so the list can be provided later when it's ready. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good. So we move to question number 302. Question number 302. That stands the name of a member for Europe Krobo. Honorable Abetete Nyakuti.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources when the water extension projects from Uhunya to Boti to Agogo to Pesika, Sutapon to Aku Akmamu and surrounding communities in the Ilo Krobo constituency, which has stalled since December 2016, will be completed.
Yes, respectfully, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. The Speaker Hunya Oti Agogo Opesika Sutapong Ako and Akamu are all communities in the Yellow Krobo district. And the project to supply water to these communities and its environs is on course. Currently, Uhunya, Boti, Agogo, Opesika, Ako, and Akomu have boreholes as well as hand-dug wells fitted with hand pumps, which provide their water supply needs. So, Speaker, to ensure continuous water supply to these areas, the Ghana Water Company Limited is in the process of procuring pressure-reducing valves to be fitted to regulate the pressures within the network of these communities. This should be completed in the third quarter of this year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Honorable Abet, any further question?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I have a follow-up question. Honorable Minister, the Bukuno water treatment plant is located in the these areas in Yilo Krobo, where we are asking for extension of water supplies. The pipelines from Bukuno Junction or from the Bukuno plant to Kofodia, the pipeline from Bukuno plant to Kofodia did not consider the communities surrounding these areas and did not provide any water for them at all. When are we going to do that?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is the policy now to make sure we give water or supply water to all villages and towns and hamlets en route. This policy wasn't part of the project when it was executed. So it's Ghana Water, which is now going through the processes to make sure all those are supplied with Ghana water, with water supply. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Abet.
Right, Honorable Speaker, this is my last question. Honorable Minister, access to water is a human right, and the demand for water is essential not only for health, but also to poverty reduction, food security, peace, and education. The boreholes mentioned are either dry from day one or do not exist at all. Honorable Minister, the people of Yilo Krobo who are watching this exchange live will want to know when water supply will extend beyond the current point where it reached in 2016 before it was truncated.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we cannot underestimate the importance of water. We say water is life. I qualify it as good water is life. Because when you don't get good potable water and you drink dirty water, you can get sick. Secondly, yes, rightly so, all Ghanaians should have access to water supply. And this is the vision of His Excellency the President to do so. May I suggest that we will send a team to those places to ascertain the current situation. Mr. Speaker, it is a truth universally acknowledged that indeed during the dry seasons, we do have even rivers getting dried up. So I will not dispute that fact. But we'll go there, ascertain and assess the situation and see what can be done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I hope you said that was your last question.
The last answer elicits a final question. Honorable Minister, I want to thank you for your response. We can look forward to having water, as you said, by the end of this year. But I wish to remind you that the current project ended only a few kilometers from the main pipeline. So the rest of Agogo, Sutapong, Opesika, and Akpo Akwamu are over 50 kilometers from the current.
Honorable Member, well noted. Well noted. Thank you. Let's turn to question number 422. Question number 422. That stands in the name of a member for Ho Central, Honorable Benjamin Kumla Pudu. Honorable, you may ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have to ask the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources when the whole water expansion project will be carried out so as to enhance water supply to Ho and its environs.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker, the PEVE water treatment plant serves the whole municipal area and its environs. The production capacity of the water supply system is 9,000 cubic meters per day, which is equivalent to 2 million gallons a day. Mr. Speaker, to improve upon the water supply situation in the communities within the whole municipal area, the Ghana Water Company Limited had a commercial contract for the construction of a new 41,000 cubic meters per day water treatment plant at PEVE, coupled with adequate transmission and distribution network to increase access to improved water supply. Mr. Speaker, the project is one of the high priority projects government intends to implement, and the PEVE water treatment project will be brought to this August House for consideration as soon as all the necessary works and approvals are obtained. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable Podu, any further question?
Plenty. Mr. Speaker, I want to help our Honorable Minister. The name of that town is PEVE, not PEVE.
That's my capital.
That's Roxanne's. Yes.
You are a minister now. You are a minister.
Mr. Speaker, my understanding of her answer is that it is not a rehabilitation of the existing plant, but that it is a construction of a new plant altogether. And if so, what is the coverage area anticipated under the new arrangement?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this coverage and the scope of works can be provided when we are ready with the final assessment. Because, as I said, as the population grows, you need a bigger water treatment system to serve the people. So we can provide that later. The cost I can't provide. The sum for is $149 million. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Podu, any further question?
Mr. Speaker, I'm impressed that the project is one of the high priority projects. But the answer says that they are now doing certain things, including consideration, as soon as all the necessary works and other approvals are obtained. If it's on the high priority, can the minister explain to us what are the stages that you have accomplished and which ones are next?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like we did for the Keta water system, that the contractor is on site. Like we did for the 5 town water supply led by Andaku Township. Mr. Speaker, normally we look for funding, then they come in and discuss the scope of works. We do a feasibility, and then we go to cabinet for approval. Then we come to this August House for approval as well. Then the processes with finance also go on. So it's quite a long process. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, Honorable Benjamin, that's your last question, please. Honorable, this is your last question. You know you have a lot to do today, please. So, you've already taken 2 supplementary questions. So I'm saying you have the last one, so take the last one.
To me, so. You see, Honorable Minister, I am interested in finding out the time frame within which these processes will be completed. Can you give us any assurance about that? Because you have mentioned the stages, but will it be 6 months, will it be 4 months, or is it going to be another year?
Yeah, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I got the honorable member correctly, the whole process depends on the funding. Like I said, Mr. Speaker, at times the funding might even fall through. But let's keep our fingers crossed that indeed this funding will be sought and obtained, and then we can give correct answers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. We move to question number 423. Question number 423. Honorable Motal, are you here again? Anyway, here straightforward. So you may ask the question.
Mr. Speaker.
You said you may ask your question.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Deputy Whip, let him hear you.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague has exhausted his allocation for questions per sitting. Order 65(2) is very clear on that. And I quote.
You are coming under hot order.
65(2). Not more than 3 questions for oral answers shall be asked by a member at any one sitting. This is 3, Honorable. All the urgent questions here, 3 questions came from you. We have a lot to do today. Let's continue.
Miss Leader, may I seek your clarification on this? A member asks a question to different ministers. Is he restricted to a number of questions? It's coming under Order 65.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, Order 65 provides not more than 3 questions for oral answers shall be asked by a member at any one sitting. And my colleague is right. If the member has asked 3 substantive questions already, then certainly he cannot be allowed to ask further questions. However, Mr. Speaker, because the minister is here and has waited for so long a time, I may want to plead that you relax the rule to enable the Honorable Muntala ask his question. But technically, he has no feet to stand on to ask further questions.
Yeah, Leader, I want this explanation. Is this order coming on the 4 matter representing different ministers or just restricted to one minister?
The Speaker, whether it's directed at one minister or several ministers, the member cannot ask more than 3 substantive questions. The Speaker, you will remember that when members ask questions, they would indicate to you that I'm entitled to 3 supplementary questions. They are not. In fact, this order refers to substantive questions. So if the Speaker may permit a member to ask a supplementary question, whether one or two, that's the sole prerogative of the Speaker. But the three questions don't refer to supplementary questions. They refer to substantive questions. So the Deputy Whip, the Honorable Sarah Larson, should be hailed.
Yeah.
He should be hailed as mastering the rules of the House.
Well.
But the Speaker, as I said, I will just...
Yeah, I'll allow him.
I'll play with you.
I'm also asking the table to also take note of that. You don't put one member with different questions. So table, please take note of that. So Honorable Mutala, quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources the steps being taken to address the acute water metropolis and its surrounding communities.
Very well. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Dalong water treatment plant serves the Tamale metropolis and its environs. The installed and average production capacities of the Dalong water treatment plant are 45,000 cubic meters per day, which is equivalent to 10 million gallons per day, and 30,000 cubic meters per day, equivalent to 6.7 million gallons per day, respectively. The shortfall in production is as a result of unreliable power supply. Mr. Speaker, in the face of the prevailing production shortfall and the water supply-demand gap, the Ghana Water Company Limited, as a short-term measure, has instituted a water management program, which is the same as water rationing, to supply water to all the areas at least once a week. Mr. Speaker, as a long-term measure to tackle the water supply situation in the metropolis, the Ghana Water Company Limited has signed a commercial contract to construct a new 135,000 cubic meter per day water treatment plant, equivalent to 30 million gallons a day at Yape, and this comes with adequate transmission and distribution network to increase access to water supply. Mr. Speaker, the project has received all the necessary regulatory approvals, including the signing of the loan agreement, which makes the contract effective. Our works are expected to commence by the end of the first quarter of 2022, following the full mobilization of the contractor and consultant to the site. Project is expected to be completed in 36 months after commencement. I humbly wish to state, Mr. Speaker, that this is the biggest water project implemented by the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the meantime, what measures are put in place to ensure that the suffering, particularly women, are going through as a result of lack of water in Tamaris and etc. are taken care of? And I say this because, as I talk to you, women are queued around boreholes provided by some of us members of parliament and some NGOs, and the boreholes are not adequate. So what measures are you putting in place to ensure that by the time this project is completed, at least they will not be going through the suffering they go through just to get water for domestic use?
Well. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are acutely aware of this situation, especially in the dry season. Mr. Speaker, there was also sun winning, which by individuals, which we stopped, so that Ghana Water Company itself will do the sun winning and give it to the community. As a result of all this, during the most acute seasons and times, Ghana Water Company Limited is directed to provide tanker services to supply water. So this will be an interim measure to make sure the people get good potable water within the week to cook and to have water to work in their homes. And the Honorable Minister commented on the workload and the suffering of women. It's not only women and girls who should be in school. So we are acutely aware of this. And whatever we'll do to alleviate their suffering will be done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's the final one, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The tanker services that are going to be providing this water to these communities within the Tamale metros, is the water going to be free? And if it is not going to be free, at what rate are the people going to be paying for the water? And when is it going to commence? Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Speaker, I will provide the details as we get them ready. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
He said he will provide the details as he gets ready. So, Honorable Minority Leader, I come to you.
Mr. Speaker, it's a shared problem, so I should thank the Honorable Mutala for bringing this matter to the fore and to urge the Minister to take urgent steps for the realization of the expansion of the Tamale Water Project. Mr. Speaker, I'm just going to share one. I wish I could even read a text I got this morning. Mr. Speaker, the water shortage in Tamale is so acute that on Monday, I visited the Bamvumna at his palace, who lost the most senior wife. And Mr. Speaker, I have the text here. Even for the funeral, I have to send water as MP this evening to facilitate the performance of the Bamvum Lane's wife's funeral, making the minister know how dire the situation of the acute water shortage is. I can read the text for you from my chairman, who cannot even write. Boss, add Bamvum Palace water for the funeral. It's supposed to go today. I'm just from my text. It's 9 a.m. So when you go to communities such as Changme, Target, Vitim, the residents just can't cope, whether it's Lamashegu or it's Datoyele. I understand you were here when we gave you approval to expand Tamale water. Let's see it happen in the coming days. So, Mr. Speaker, mine is not a question, but to let the minister appreciate whether it's Moshizango or it's Sakasaka, we are in a deep crisis in Tamale as far as the availability of quality potable water is concerned. We'll take your word. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister, it doesn't demand a response. Minister, I have not asked you to respond. It's just yes. So we move to question.
With your kind permission, I just wanted to make a correction. The water project is not going to be an expansion project. It's an entirely new project with a different source of raw water. Thank you, sir.
Very well. So we move to question number 424. Question number 424. Honorable Member for Akachinov, Peter Nochikoti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources if the ministry has any plan to provide district capitals with sustainable water supply systems, and if so, what are Dakar, the capital of the Akati North District? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, indeed, Mr. Speaker. The government, through the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, has a lot of plans to provide all Ghanaians with potable water, including the Ave Dakpa, which is the capital of Akachi North District. Mr. Speaker, the capital of Akachi North District is served with safe water provided by the government of Ghana in 2008 through funding from the Danish International Development Agency known as DANIDA. Mr. Speaker, water is supplied from 2 boreholes into an elevated concrete storage tank of 50 cubic meters for the volume. The water supply system has 10 standpipes and 61 household connections. In consonance with the prevailing policy at the time, the community, through the district assembly, took over the management of the water system. Mr. Speaker, as a result of an alleged mismanagement by the water and sanitation management team within the community, the district assembly took over the day-to-day operation and management of the water system. We indeed hope that things have improved. Mr. Speaker, the ministry recognizes the need to improve water supply in the Avedapa. To achieve this, government, through the Community Water and Sanitation Agency, is preparing to take over the water supply system to rehabilitate, expand, and manage it in order to meet the water demand of the people of Avedapa. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yeah, Honorable Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Minister for the response, but just want to that between March and December last year, the water system broke down. Then, additionally, because of the COVID, what happened was that the water was used and no payment was made to anybody. The Electricity Company of Ghana cut power supply to the water system, and in January, I had to pay 13,832 Ghana cedis for water to be, the power to be restored before the water system could run. Even that, the system had developed force and individuals in the community had to donate sums of money for its rehabilitation. Mr. Speaker, what I want to find out from the minister is whether there is any opportunity for the system to be expanded, because the community has grown very large now as a district capital. If there's any immediate plan to expand the water system so that the community can get water more regularly than it is happening now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I did indicate that the CWSA is preparing to take over the water supply system to rehabilitate, expand, and manage it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, we move to question number. I thought you finished. Let him give the last chance.
Mr. Speaker, in the minister's answer, that is paragraph 4, she indicated that there was an alleged mismanagement by the water and sanitation management team in the community, and the assembly took over. I wish to inform her that the assembly taking over the water system was worse than what the community even managed. I would like to find out from her if she will be willing to ask the Water and Sanitation Agency to investigate why the assembly performed poorly in the management of the water system in Avedapa. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm aware that indeed some of these communities fail to even pay for the electricity that they use to pump the water for the people. So I am aware of some of these malpractices, and between the assembly and the community, we have problems. Hence, the reforms for CWSA to directly take over and be responsible for these water systems, so that the good people will be served with good potable water. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well. So we move to question number 426. 426, Honorable Member for Domiabra Ubum, Honorable Sufaya Kalim Ekwoko.
Most grateful, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources the status of the water project that passes through Doblo to Kwamianu and the plans the ministry has to provide potable drinking water for the remainder of the 735 communities in the Domiabra Obum constituency.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Domiabra Obom constituency is served by two different water systems. The Nsawam water treatment plant serves Amasaman, Obeyeye, Doblo, Ashelaja, and Kwame Anum, and the Wager water treatment plant currently serves Obom, Domiabra, Amuzukope, and Denchra. Mr. Speaker, in the interim, the Ghana Water Company Limited awarded a contract for the construction of 20 kilometers length of distribution pipelines in Doblo, Ashalaja, and their environs under the ongoing Waterworks project. I am pleased to announce that the construction of the distribution pipelines, which began in September 2021, is now completed. Mr. Speaker, furthermore, the Ghana Water Company Limited will, in a progressive manner, use internally generated funds to extend water supply to areas in the constituency which are currently not being served. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Kwoko, any further?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister stated in her answer that the Wager water treatment plant is currently serving Domiabra, Amuzukope, and Danchra. Mr. Speaker, I would like to find out if the Minister is aware that for 6 years and currently, Domiabra and Danchra have not been receiving water from the treatment plant.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am not aware. It is Ghana Water that gave this statement currently, so I will confer with them and come back to the honourable member. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. We now move to the last question. We want to do. I signal her and he said it's okay. Anyway, ask your last question.
Mr. Speaker, can the Minister explain to this August House what she means by, and I quote, in a progressive manner, use internally generated funds to extend water supply to areas in the constituency which are currently not being served?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It simply means that as and when we gather our IGF, we will work on those areas that don't have water. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Finally, we turn to question number 813.
Mr. Speaker.
Question number 8. Oh, Sophia. Let's hear you. Let's hear you.
Mr. Speaker, in the Minister's estimation, using the IGF as mentioned in his answer, how long will it take the Ghana Water Company Limited to extend water supply to communities in Domiabra Obum, which are currently not being served?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I did indicate that the current situation the honourable member is talking about will be verified, and then we'll come back. It shouldn't even be part of the new IGF areas. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable side. Okay, let him come to a member for Suhum. Honorable Kojo Asante. You may put your question to the minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am on the feet to ask the able Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources when her ministry will resume works on the Ghana First Toilet project in the Suhum constituency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with your kind indulgence, I'll give a brief preamble to the answer. Mr. Speaker, in 2019, I invited the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana First Company Limited to a meeting to discuss the initiative by the company to construct public toilet facilities across the country, which I considered as the minister to be a laudable idea, since it would help in eradicating open defecation in our communities. Mr. Speaker, the CEO honored the invitation with the board members and other officers of the company and explained that the company was in a private arrangement with contractors to execute the project within the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies across the country. The company had also entered into a public...
Honorable members, please let's listen to the minister.
The company has also entered into a public-private partnership agreement with the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies as project partners to construct public toilet facilities across the country. Mr. Speaker, this assertion has been evidently made clear by the Ghana First Company Limited with a publication in the Daily Guide newspaper indicating that it is a private entity, for which reason government should not interfere in their activities. Mr. Speaker, this publication was on the 6th of August 2019 in the Daily Guide, page 14, where the company released a press statement stating, among others, that, and I quote, contractors should take notice that the relationship between Ghana First Company Limited and themselves is purely a private business arrangement and therefore should not expect payment from or by government. The government is therefore advised not to succumb to any pressure from any quarters and allow the company to deal with the contractors claiming to have done any work for the company. If government should pay any contractor with the taxpayers' money, the company will resort to legal action against it. Therefore, the government is hereby advised not to succumb to pressures from any quarters and allow the company to deal with the contractors claiming to have done any work for GFCL. Mr. Speaker, respectfully, I wish to state that the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources is not responsible for the execution of this project. In this regard, I would humbly suggest that the Honourable Member of Parliament should contact the Suhum Municipal Assembly for any further information on the project. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Mr. Speaker.
Please, your problem cuts across the entire country.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm saying your question, your problem that we are asking the minister to address, it cuts across the whole country.
That's right.
So let's hear if you have any further questions.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Honorable, you don't have any question? Well.
No, I said I'm very grateful. Thank you.
You're okay? Yes. Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether I'm permitted to come because this will not be a question. But when the minister says that this is a purely private arrangement, and a purely private arrangement has metropolitan district assemblies that are government entities, will you assure this House that you investigate this matter and further report back to Parliament? Because private cannot stand alone. private, purely private, but we see our district assemblies, which are public, engage in it. And there are contractors going around the country who say, I work for this entity, I haven't been paid for years. Will you want to investigate this matter further and probably apprise this house so that we know the status of this project? Thank you. And its implications for our district assembly common fund or the district assembly's funding. Thank you.
Very well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The point is well made, and the districts, the municipalities are all under the local government ministry. So I'll liaise with my colleague, the local government minister, and work on this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Honorable Minister, on behalf of the House, I would like to thank you for attending upon the House to answer 9 separate questions. You are hereby discharged, Honorable Minister. Yes, Honorable Leader, any indication as to what to do next?
Speaker, I believe we can do the presentation of some of the papers and then move to committee of the whole. So we can do just the presentation of items A and B, 7, A and B on page 5 of the other paper.
Very well. Honorable members, let's turn to page number 5, item number 7. At the commencement of public business, presentation of papers. 7A, Minister for Transport.
Speaker, if I may seek your indulgence and that of my colleagues to present the paper on behalf of the Minister responsible for Transport.
Very well.
Annual Report of the National Road Safety Authority, 2020.
Honorable members, the report has been duly presented and referred to the Committee on Roads and Transport for consideration and report. 7B.
Request for the parliamentary ratification of the Charter establishing the Eastern and Southern African Trade and Development Bank, TBD Charter.
Honorable members, the request has been duly presented. It is referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. Honorable members, the House will therefore be suspended to sit in committee to receive the National Identification Authority officials. Committee on the whole. Yes, Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I know the leader have already instructed that the bell be rung. There are 2 important issues we need to discuss at Committee of the Whole, apart from engaging the officials and minister responsible for the National Identification Authority. There is a matter which affects us as MPs. So all members, even if they are in their offices, they should endeavor to be here so that leader can speak to it. We have some announcement from the Parliamentary Service Board that is meant for members so that we take it from here and then we can get many of these matters. So we can recline to Committee of the Whole, Mr. Speaker, as you may thank you.